That sounds fine.
What's the boogeyman?
Welcome back to the Moonjuice Metal Horror Podcast, the podcast where you live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are afraid to shit on both of them. I'm Mike.
I'm Matt. Welcome back. So we went and saw another movie in the theater. And this is one that I was looking forward to, and I think Mike was too. I think specifically because it has to do with one of our favorite characters.
Yeah.
Not to mention the guy who's playing him. Like I'm not. So if you put this character in a movie, I'm probably going to see it. But then also, if you add this actor to it, I'm definitely going to see it because I really like him.
Yeah.
On the other hand, no doubt, fucking great movie. I loved it. It had me thinking for hours after we saw it. Me and Chrissy talked about it on the whole ride home, like what we thought this movie was, what the message behind it was, all that stuff. But we didn't necessarily do our homework enough. I think we saw that it was a movie about one of our favorite characters, and we're like, yes, we got to go see that. Not a horror movie.
Yeah, well, I knew it was a retelling or remake of a older movie, older story that kind of fell in the horror genre. So, and of course, and it's officially listed as horror. For some reason, sci-fi, what makes no sense, but okay.
Yeah.
But that's why I think we went to see it, of course. And it was just like
I think that's smart, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's smart that they did that, because if you wanted to market it to people to make them want to go see it, that's a way to do it. Even though the horror elements in this are so few and far between, there's no way that I can call this a horror movie. But yes, it does fall into the genre because of the subject matter, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I came across this movie when we did Toro's Frankenstein on Netflix. That's I done a little bit of research because I was researching, okay, what movies can we do next year? And then I knew this one was going to come up. I knew it was a remake of I almost did it, no? But I did not know that it was not really going to be a horror movie. I thought it was going to be a more kind of horror, maybe a little bit of drama in with it. What Frankenstein always fuck. Yeah, okay, so fuck it. So okay, so then we can give it away now. We're doing
What movie are we doing, Mike?
The Bride of Frankenstein remake. Ah, God.
I like that, dude. I like opening this shit up and then being like, okay, so let's tap dance around this as much as we can without saying the name of the movie. And it's always really interesting to see if we can get away with it, right? Because it would be really easy. I mean, the name of the movie and the characters are on the thumbnail, so automatically if people are clicking on it to watch the podcast, they already know what it's about. But it's fun to try to tap dance around it anyway, because sometimes we fail miserably at it, and then sometimes we do really well.
Mm-hmm.
This one we failed miserably. It's okay. Yeah. It's The Bride, right? This is Maggie Gyllenhaal's take on the Bride of Frankenstein story. Yeah. Fucking great movie. I was not disappointed when we started watching it and I realized it was not a horror film.
No, not at all. Me neither. I loved it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought the movie was absolutely great. I don't have any complaints about the movie.
No. I think it's an odd choice. Okay, so there's a lot of social commentary throughout this thing. And it's an odd story to choose to do a remake on for that social commentary, but I do understand why they did it. Right? I can see why you would use this, right? As kind of your backdrop for what you want to say. Not saying because it's basically a social commentary. That doesn't mean that it's not done tastefully and well. Like if you wanted to leave out that social commentary part and just have it as a movie, it works as a movie if you want to ignore that context, right? Like it works as a film and keeps you interested. It doesn't get boring. The story stays interesting. It's fast paced. The acting is fucking fantastic. Again, I'm gonna have to watch this one in English because I feel like the
Yeah, me
original
too.
dubbing
But
is probably gonna
the
be
funny
much
thing
better.
is, it is social commentary, but it also is basically just Bonnie and Clyde, just with
Yeah,
Frankenstein and his bride, more
yeah,
or less. Yeah,
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 yeah. That's what it comes down to. It's a slightly well, fuck, man. So the original story of Bonnie and Clyde, I'm not so familiar with it that I know how many people they killed. I have no idea if that was like a big murder spree or if that was just random killings here and there. These two together do not kill a bunch of people.
that's true.
So it is Bonnie and Clyde esque in the fact that they're kind of on the run together, but they didn't like haphazardly murder a bunch of people.
Yeah,
Like
but
the
Bonnie
the
and
character,
Clyde also were not murderers; they were bank robbers.
yeah, but they also, I mean, I know that they also killed a bunch of people in the process, but I don't know how many. I'm not familiar enough with the story. Um, but these two characters are like you can like them. They're likable characters.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there's nothing morally bankrupt about either of them. The Frankenstein character, he and we talked a little bit about this before we started. You can actually see him in 1932, which is when this movie takes place. See the way the character acts, see what his motivations are, and you can absolutely believe that that is the Frankenstein monster from the original story. A
yeah.
100 years later, uh, doing what he's doing. Like they do a really good job of making that work. The makeup, Mike, what'd you think about his makeup?
Well, his makeup. I liked it actually. Huh?
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. It did not. It would have resembled Frankenstein for me, but I thought it was okay.
Okay. For me, I think the makeup is good. I think the makeup all around in this is good. I just feel like the Frankenstein character goes to really great lengths to cover himself up in public to where he doesn't get seen and people don't freak out by him. And then there is a scene in the movie where people see them and they freak out. But if I saw this guy on the streets, he doesn't look that bad.
That's true.
He really doesn't. He looks like he may have been in a car accident or something and gotten like patched back up. I wouldn't automatically assume this guy was a monster. If I saw this guy in public, I'd be like, oh man, that sucks. He's probably been in a really bad accident or whatever. But I wouldn't automatically assume he was a monster. I wouldn't automatically assume that he looked bad. You know what I mean? So that was a little off for me. I feel like they could have done maybe a little bit of better job with that, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Her makeup is also really good. Uh, they didn't really have to do a whole lot there, but she does not look like a monster either.
No.
Not at all. She just looks like a chick who's got really bad makeup on.
And bad hair.
Yeah, and bad hair. Like she just woke up and smeared lipstick across her face and went out hungover. That's what she looks like. She looks like a hungover chick that didn't sleep well. Um, the performances are great. The story's good. We can get into the social commentary and all that stuff in a little bit. Me and Mike had a conversation before we started the episode asking if we wanted to play this safe, right? Because the the context, the underlying context of the story and the social commentary is something that gets people up into debate and gets people screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And we said, do we want to play it safe? And Mike's answer was no, I don't want to play it safe. Let's just talk about it. And I'm fine with that. I think we should. But before we do that, we should probably get into the actors because we got to get you guys good and drunk.
Yeah,
Before,
exactly.
before we
But So before we get into our weekly ritual of name butchering,
Yeah.
if you like our podcast, please don't forget to leave us a like, comment this video, and subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell button because it really helps us out. And follow us if you're listening to this on Spotify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's get into
name butchering. Name butchering.
The name, the ritual of name butchering is what I'm gonna call it. Okay.
Mike Butcher's a name you drink.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a real fan, you got to drink too. So line your shots up.
You don't have to drink immediately, but you have to count how often I butcher the names.
Yeah.
And that amount of times you have to drink throughout this podcast.
Okay. So go.
Okay. Now, so we have Jessie Buckley, who plays Ida, the Bride of Frankenstein. We have Batman playing Frankenstein.
I don't wear hockey pads.
What?
I don't wear hockey pads.
Okay, Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Jake Gyllenhaal playing Ronnie Reed. Peter Skarsgård playing Detective Jake.
He was a Skarsgård?
Yes, apparently that guy is a Skarsgård. I also did not know that.
I didn't know that.
No, Sarsgaard is his name.
Okay, Sarsgaard. Okay.
So that there's one to drink, no?
Yes.
I think I butchered his name now like 3 times. So
yes, that's 3 shots, dude.
Okay, we have Julianne Hough. We have Penelope Cruz, who plays Myrna Malloy. Annette Bening playing Dr. Cornelia something else. John Magaro. Louis Cancelmi playing Officer Goodman. Jeannie Berlin playing Greta. Marco Kaka. I didn't know.
Is that a mistake or is it the actual fucking name?
What?
Is that a mistake or is that the actual name?
I have no idea. That's
debatable. We're gonna have to look that one up.
Okay, and we have William Hill. So that's it. Yeah.
So this movie opens up with a weird premise, right? And when we were in the theater, I was sitting there wondering, okay, what exactly is this? Like what? Because you have to frame the story. You have to set it up as, okay, this is where the story is being told from. This is why you're getting the story, blah, blah, blah. It opens up with Mary Shelley speaking from the afterlife, basically, and directly to the audience, too. So this is very, like, fourth wall breaking right at the start. She says she has a story she wanted to tell after writing Frankenstein, but she died before she could finish it, right? And she describes the story of Frankenstein, or specifically this story, as something stuck in her head like a dream. And so she wants to tell this story to the audience because she didn't get to before she died, right? She explains that to tell the story, she has to possess a woman in the real world. So this is already off the top weird because this is not like something you're supposed to deduct from what she's saying. She's actually saying this. She says, to be able to tell this story, I'm going to have to possess a real world woman to tell the story. And so that's what you get. Now that is strange for a lot of reasons, because what that implies is that Frankenstein was a story that she wrote, right?
Yeah.
But she's going to have to possess a woman in the real world to tell you the story. So if she's possessing a woman in the real world, that would mean that Frankenstein doesn't exist. But this real world where she finds this woman that she possesses to tell the story is the world where Frankenstein actually lives. So as long as you can wrap your brain around that concept, the rest of the movie works. It's an odd way to start, but I mean, maybe not take it so literal. But if you were taking it literal, that's how you would have to take it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that whole commentary from her explaining that she wanted to tell the story and she has to possess a real woman. Flash forward to 1930s Chicago, and there are a bunch of mobsters in a bar restaurant, like a nice, really a high class bar restaurant. They're sitting at a table in the restaurant, and there's a whole bunch of what would appear to be kind of like prostitutes, right?
Yeah.
That are with them.
Escorts.
Escorts, prostitutes, whatever you want to call them. They're all sitting around a table and eating and drinking a lot. You know, the women are being talked to like men in the 30s would have talked to prostitutes or escorts, kind of talking down to them, exploiting them, whatever. We meet this character Ida, and she's a blonde girl, looks like she's probably late 20s, early 30s, right? And she's just doing her thing. She's talking to the mobsters. She's not a happy person. You can see that she's kind of like playing along, but also has kind of tears in her eyes, like she hates what she's doing, but she's doing it anyway. We don't know this woman's full story yet. We just know that she is an escort and she's there with these mobsters. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, and it's a really weird thing, she somehow changes like this, and we realize that this is Mary Shelley, basically possessing her, right? And she starts spouting off all this poetry and crazy shit that doesn't really fit to the scene. And it's odd, and this is why I really want to see this in English, Mike, because I feel like the German translation probably didn't really do it justice that much.
It never does. I mean, the thing is, I like going to the cinema, but I hate the fact that I have to watch these movies in German. I mean, you can't see them in original language.
But you got to go to Frankfurt.
Well, sometimes I think the other places they show them too, not only in Frankfurt, or at least in the
okay.
you have to look it up. It says OT, original tone.
Okay.
So for Original Vertonung.
Okay.
But because I don't like German dubbing.
Yeah, I don't either.
I can't think of any. I can't think of any movie or series where I actually liked it.
Well, the only time that I can appreciate German dubbing is if the movie is not in English. Like there's a couple Italian series that we watch, or Spanish series on Netflix, that are dubbed in German. And the German dubbing is light years ahead of the English dubbing. So I will watch it in German dubbing because it's done so well. But that is the only time that I can appreciate it. That said, the dubbing in this movie was not done badly. It was good. I just think that the original is probably much better. But we still got the point, right? I mean, it doesn't take anything away. It just takes away from the performance. And I think the performances in this film are probably amazing. So it kind of dumbs down the performance a little bit. So Mary Shelley's spirit briefly possesses Ida, causing her to speak strangely and narrate events around a mob boss named Lupin, who is at this time in 1930s Chicago a head mob boss. The things that she's saying and she's spouting off are pissing this mob boss off and all of his people that are around him, because specifically she's saying bad things about him. And so the other group of people that are around her pick her up and get her the fuck out of there as quick as possible to try to not piss off Lupin. And they get her to a stairway that's kind of on the inside of the building. And she's still hysterical, still saying crazy shit. These men are trying to calm her down, probably for her own good, because they don't want to see her get shot right there.
Yeah.
She won't stop. So they push her down the stairs, right? And we get this crazy cool scene of her falling down the stairs, hitting her head on the way down, breaking her legs. And she falls all the way down the stairs, hits the bottom, and is stone dead, right? And so now you've been introduced to her character, kind of. We don't really know anything about her. We just know that she's been possessed by Mary Shelley. She's spouted off in public in front of a mob boss. They threw her down the stairs, and now she's dead. Yeah. Her body gets dumped. And basically, we already know that this is the corpse that's later going to become the bride, right?
Of Frankenstein, yeah.
Yeah. So the next scene is where we get introduced to Frank, right? And that's his name in this film, is Frank.
Frank.
But it's Frankenstein's monster.
Frank.
Okay. We kind of see him at the top of this 1930s office building,
Yeah.
knocking on a doctor's door, trying to get let in. He's got a scarf across his face and a fedora hat on to cover up all of his scars and everything. He's standing there, nobody's answering the door, and a woman walks up from behind him. She says, "Can I help you?" He says, "Yes, I'm looking for Ephorenius. Ephorenius? Ephorenius. Sure. Now you're gonna have to drink because I fucked up a name. All right. Dr. Euphorenius. So a woman walks up behind him. She says, "Yeah, the doctor's not in. What can I do for you?" Frank is like, "I really need to talk to the doctor. I don't want to talk to anybody else. Can you please tell me where the
Yeah.
doctor is?" She basically says, "Yes, I'm Dr. Euphorenius. What can I do for you? And can you please remove the scarf from your face and your hat?" He reluctantly does. She realizes that he is a reanimated corpse pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
And she says, "I can kind of guess why you're here, uh, and what you want." He says, "Well, yeah. Um, so I've been around for a really long time. I am the original monster from Dr. Frankenstein. Monster, he uses that word because that's what everybody knows him as, right?" She says, "Yes, I followed Dr. Frankenstein's work quite a bit. I know what he did. I kind of know who you are. What can I do for you?" He explains that he's been alive for over 100 years and has never had a companion, never had a friend. He wants human contact. And so he's come to see her because he wants a bride. He wants a companion. He wants her to reanimate another corpse
Yeah.
so that he has somebody, right? She doesn't initially agree to this, um, but she is too interested in the fact that he is in her office and she wants to basically run tests on him because she wants to know more about why he's still alive, how the process worked, all that stuff. She says, "You can stay here. Just stay here. You don't have to go anywhere. Stay here and we can talk about it." Right. So he agrees and stays. She says, "When was the last time you had human contact, like physical contact of any kind?" And he says, "Well, basically, when I shook your hand, that was the first time in, you know, a
Years.
100 years, probably." So we can deduct that he has probably been in hiding all this time, right?
Yeah.
Is what I would assume. He's been in hiding after the events of the Frankenstein book. So she eventually agrees to make him a bride or make him a woman, but they need to go searching for a body, right? So she agrees, okay, um, to make this work, we're going to have to find a body. So we're going to have to go search. And they go to the graveyard. They dig up this woman, Ida, who was just killed probably the night before or a few days
Yeah.
before. And then they get her into the laboratory. This laboratory, Mike, for the 1930s is very high tech. And it made me believe because
That's true. Yeah.
the only like hint to the fact that it was in the 1930s was kind of like the clothes people were wearing, right?
Yeah.
In the opening scene. But even then, Mike, this could have been modern day in some really fancy restaurant. Yeah, like it never said 1930s Chicago, right? So when I saw her office and I saw all this gear she had set up, I was like, well, this is really modern equipment. So this must be like modern, modern. Well, turns out it's not. Like this is 1930s. They take the body, they get it on the table. Uh, they do the typical Frankenstein thing, which is hook her up to a bunch of cables, hook her up to electrodes, and then they start the process, right? So you get the typical Frankenstein trope of a lot of electricity happening and the body being reanimated. Uh, as she's reanimated, she comes back, she sits up. Of course, Frank is like, "Holy shit, this is gonna be my bride." She looks at him and then automatically spits up all this fucking blood, right? Um, and this is where she gets her weird scar on her face. The doctor says, "I see that your body's you've got spots on you and stuff, and that's due to some process that happens in the body
Yeah.
that causes stains and stuff." It's an odd explanation, but it's just there to explain why she's got this thing on her face the entire fucking film. Whatever. Anyway, the makeup looks cool. Like,
Loved him. Yeah.
it looks cool. It looks remarkable. Like, it stains her lips basically black, but it stains them in a pattern that kind of looks like
A unicorn.
a doll, right? Like the bottom of the lip is rounded, the
Yeah.
tops of the lips are look like they have black lipstick on. It's a cool look. Uh, so she immediately asks who she is and why she's there because she has complete memory loss from being dead. The doctor doesn't have an answer for her. Frank automatically says, "Well, you're my wife." Like, he comes out and is immediately like, "You're my bride. You're my wife. Don't you remember?" Automatically starts lying to her, probably out of fear because this is what he's wanted his entire life.
Yeah, fear of
Uh,
rejection. Yeah.
yeah, fear of rejection, which, according to the old Frankenstein novel, that's what he dealt with the whole time was
Yeah.
rejection and mistreatment and all that stuff. Ida's character really doesn't have any choice but to believe it, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's she gonna do? She has to take the role that's given to her from everybody around her because that's kind of what's expected of her. She's retained bits and pieces of her memory that come back throughout the film,
Yeah.
but never the whole thing, right? Um, she believes both of them because she has no identity. This deception becomes an important plot point later, right? Um, then they kind of have their first date. They just leave, right? And
Yeah.
I can't exactly remember how this happens. If they just leave the doctor's office or they escape or what?
They escaped because
They escape?
this she was talking and they were talking right after she woke up. He's like, okay, I gotta go home, or do shit because part of her memory and her personality is still there. And then the doctor's still trying. He goes, no, not yet. You can't leave yet. You
That's right.
stay here. We have to do the test. Then they're sitting at this one table, eating breakfast.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly remember what the doctor tells her, but the doctor says, "Oh, do you not want to eat?" And she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that." And then just starts trashing everything. She throws down a
Yeah.
bottle of jelly. Then she just throws down a teacup, and she's like, "I want to leave. Let me out of here, or
I'm gonna destroy everything else.
gonna
Yeah.
destroy everything, more or less." I think eventually they calm her down, and then I think the doctor actually locks her up in her laboratory. She locks the
Yep.
door.
Yep.
The
That's
next
what it was.
the
Yeah.
next morning, you see Frank. He's in there waiting for it. No, actually, no. The next morning, when she wakes up, Frank is lying underneath her bed sleeping.
Yeah.
Huh?
Because he broke in.
Yeah. And she just blows at him, and he instantly gets slaps the shit out of her. Yeah, he gets scared. He just out of reflex wakes up and slaps her across the room. I mean, of course, this, you know what this guy has dealt with. This guy has dealt with being
Yeah.
being hunted by people with pitchforks and fires. So he instantly regretted it and said he's sorry and all.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it was just a reflex and he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay, however, they got into the discussion, and she wants
Yeah.
to get out of there. And she was like, "How'd you get in here?" The doctor closed the door. And he said, "I got
Broken
here
in through the window.
through the window." And I actually, there was also this one weird scene where she was floating, and it fell down.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about is the scene right before that, and that's something
Yeah.
we forgot too. So
Yeah.
she has these dreams, and this is the first one of these dreams. And the dream sequence is used for Mary Shelley to talk to her, right? And so the writer Mary Shelley is talking to her in the dream and says, "Hey, who are you? Who do you think you are?" So Shelley's telling the story, but she's also like trying to give this woman hints as to what she should be or who she thinks she is because she's trying to empower her to become who she wants to be as opposed to what everybody else is telling her. So you get the idea that Mary Shelley, obviously, because she's possessed her, she sees what happens during the day. So she knows who this woman is, but she also sees that everyone else is trying to impose her identity on her and is telling her, "Hey, who are you?" And she doesn't have an answer. She's like, I don't know. And she's like, what is your name? And she says, I don't know. And she says, are you who you are, or are you who everybody is telling you you're supposed to be? And in the dream, she's floating from the bed that she was born on to the ceiling and grabs a bulb that's on the ceiling and breaks it, right? In the dream. And that breaking of the bulb in the dream is what wakes her up. So when she wakes up, that's when she looks down and realizes that Frank is snuck into the laboratory and is sleeping under the bed, freaks him out by blowing on him. He smacks the shit out of her. And then the doctor walks in and is like, what the fuck is going on? She realized Frank broke in, but she also notices that on the ceiling, the bulb that was broken during the dream is broken in real life as well. So that kind of lets you know, is that really a dream that she had, or is that reality? Because the bulb that she broke in her dream is broken.
Yeah.
So that's why they did that. It's kind of like you're supposed to get the fact that Mary Shelley is actually communicating with her as opposed to it just being a dream, right? So yeah, they have a discussion, they decide to leave, so they leave, and this is after that big discussion at the table where she breaks glasses and marmalade and all that shit. They escape and go to a movie theater, right? So Frank in this movie is a cinephile. He loves fucking movies. What he does is he goes and sees movies all the time, probably because he can get an idea of what goes on in the real world and be entertained without people fucking with him. Because when you go to a theater, it's dark. People aren't talking to each other. They're generally just watching the movie. So this is what he does. He goes to movies. Specifically sneaks in because I don't think this guy has any money, right? Frankenstein is in love with this dude who's a musical film star named Ronnie Reed.
Yeah.
And this Ronnie Reed character is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, right? He kind of what's the English word for this? He kind of forgottes this guy, like he
Idealized.
yeah he
He's
yeah he
yeah.
idealizes him. He like idolizes him, looks up to him, and that's because supposedly this actor had polio as a child, and that means one of his legs is shorter than the other, and he has to wear special shoes that make one leg the same length as the other. So he kind of looks at this guy as another person who has issues, who was probably shunned by society, but is able to overcome all that, and that's why he idolizes.
Yeah,
Right?
but wasn't there also the thing that this actor saw him when he was a child and smiled at him?
Yeah,
That's what yeah.
we get to that later,
Yeah.
and that we find out why he really idolizes him. So it's because he's overcome a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
but it's also because at one time this kid was nice to him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. Um, yeah. So after that, they decide to go dancing, right? And we got this scene earlier where we didn't really see what was going on, but there's like this underground dance club, which it strikes me as funny that this type of thing actually existed because it feels like it's not from this time period,
It's
right?
yeah. Yeah. It feels like it's from our time period.
Yeah, it feels like the whole scene of this underground club feels like something that you could go see in Darmstadt or Frankfurt. It's like
Yeah.
a alternative punk club where anything goes kind of thing. Anyway, we kind of saw it earlier, but not really. We just saw people dancing and partying, but didn't know what it was. They leave the movie theater and go directly into this underground club. And this place is, I don't know what you would call it, is extremely modern. People are wearing more modernized clothes. I think the woman that's dancing and singing on the stage is almost punkish looking,
Yeah.
like early 80s punk. She's got punk makeup on, her hair's dyed, she's wearing strange clothes.
That
It
time
doesn't feel like it fits this time period.
no, punk didn't exist before the 80s.
No, obviously. But they go into this club. This is probably Frank's first time doing anything like this. But this girl, the bride, is wild. And you have to also think of her as kind of like, this is the first time she's been alive. She wants to experience things. She's a little bit wild. She takes him down there. He goes and sits in a dark corner, because that's what he's used to. He doesn't want anybody fucking talking to him. He doesn't want anybody messing with him. She doesn't give a shit. She goes and starts dancing on the dance floor. And you kind of get this musical number where nobody sings or anything, but there's a lot of dancing, and it's very choreographed and very artsy, right? This is pretty much an art film.
Yeah.
I would call this an artsy film.
Yeah.
Really cool. Like, I actually enjoyed the dance sequences. I enjoyed the music. It's pretty cool seeing. During the time that she's dancing, she gets messed with by two guys who are, we'll just say, they're being pushy with her on the dance floor. Two guys are being pushy with her on the dance floor. She's obviously a reanimated corpse and stuff, but she's also a pretty good looking woman. And these guys start, any good looking woman can probably tell you, if you go into a bar or a dance club, there's going to be a couple of weird dudes that mess with you throughout the night. And that's exactly what's going on here. Frank sees it. He doesn't like it, obviously. So he pulls her from the dance floor and they leave the club. As they're leaving, these two guys that were messing with her on the dance floor are following them. Right. And they're basically calling them names and basically messing with them.
Yeah.
One of the guys
grabbing-
keeps pushing on
that-
Frank.
Then
Yeah.
Also, they grab her on the ass a few times, so it's
Yes.
obviously what they're trying to do. Frank and Ida or the bride, they're just being quiet at the moment, just trying to get away.
Which I've seen this thing before. Like, this is typical behavior that even nowadays you see happening sometimes, right?
Yeah, but it's I would say it's rare when the guy is there. Usually, it's rare. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Maybe
but-
here, I don't know. Maybe here it's rare, but where I come from, it's not. Which is sad. That's probably saying a lot about America, but stuff like this happens all the time. The thing that's stupid though, Mike, is this version of Frankenstein is not exactly a small guy. He's pretty big. He's like 6'5", I think. I'm
Something
not
like
sure
that.
how tall Christian Bale is, but he's not.
I think he's
a tiny
about
guy.
6'4".
And he's got her in one arm, and they're running away, and these guys are messing with him. They push on Frank, and try to get him separated from her, and they're being pretty violent. I mean, they're hitting him at this point. And they do get him away finally. They hit him in the head. He falls on the ground, and kind of covers himself up, because dude doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to be violent. We already know the story of Frankenstein. He doesn't like violence. Unfortunately, when it happens, it's too late for everyone involved. When you piss Frankenstein off enough and he's got to be violent, it's over for everybody. And so that's what happens, right? They get him off on his own. They get him on the ground. One guy stays with him and keeps kicking him. The other guy starts assaulting the bride. This pisses Frankenstein off, and he basically just gets up and decimates these two dudes, man. And this is a pretty violent scene. This is kind of what I would say it maybe fits in the horror category a little bit, because
It does also kind of remind you a little bit of American History X.
Yeah, you got that, huh?
Yeah, I got that. Huh?
Yeah. He basically does a curb stomp on this guy.
Yeah,
the
but
first
I mean,
guy-
it's a pretty brutal scene, but I have to be honest, I don't feel much empathy for these guys. Even though, it's clearly manslaughter what Frankenstein is doing here, they deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Yeah. If you do what these two guys did, you probably deserve to get your brain smashed in. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
He takes one of them and smashes his head against the wall, and the other guy he throws on the ground with his head against the curb and just stomps his head fucking flat. Right. That's the end of these two guys. She does not seem to be too bothered by any of this. And I think that's kind of the point. I think that she is comfortable with violence after this because she has no memory. She doesn't really. She was a blank slate, and I think that's the point here. Like, if you if you're a woman, right, in society, and your identity is imposed on you, you are supposed to be what they want you to be. Your identity is given to you. You have to stay within inside the lines. There's violence perpetrated against women, and then violence is also perpetrated against people who hurt women. And so that's one of the first things that she sees. So now violence is part of the equation,
Yeah.
and she doesn't seem bothered by it. She just thinks this is the way of the world. Um, but now that he's killed these two people, the police are now involved, right? And so the next scene you get is these detectives that begin looking for the murderers of these two guys. Everybody in the club, there's a shit ton of people who saw it, and the police even say that. They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much everybody saw this shit. Like 100 people that were in the club saw who did this, know what they look like. So the police know exactly who they're looking for. And they go looking. The two police or detectives are Malloy and Wiles. The female character, who is played by Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz, yeah.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz. I think she's Malloy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And we have an interesting dynamic here because these two, one of them's a man and one of them's a woman, right? The funny thing is, one of them is the detective and the other one is a secretary for the detective. But the
Yeah.
secretary is actually the male and the detective is actually the female.
Yeah.
But nobody knows that. Everybody assumes that the guy is the detective, and they're both both her and him are fine with that because that allows them to do their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if anybody suspected she was the detective, they wouldn't take her seriously at all. So everybody assumes that her secretary is the detective and that she's the secretary, and so that's how they go about this.
Then he
Right.
then intends to bring the bride back to the doctor because he wants to get out of there.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, leave me. I don't want to get you into more trouble. They're going to be coming with pitchforks and I know how
He
it
says
ends.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he says that. He says that the people are going to want to hunt a monster. I know how this ends.
Yeah.
So you just stay up there. You're safe, and I'll get out of here.
Yeah.
Or and then she said, oh, but I don't know where to go to because she doesn't
Right.
remember anything anymore.
Yeah.
And eventually, she the bride convinces Frank to take her with him. Then comes the train scene.
Yeah. So they both kind of get on this this train that's one of those intercontinental trains in the 30s that's going from big city to big city. This particular train is going to New York. We don't really know that yet, but you get the idea that this is how Frank has probably been getting around ever since the railroad became the railroad. He probably hops trains and goes. He has a scrap of paper in his pocket. I like this because they kind of just threw this in there, right? This Frankenstein monster has anxiety. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
He has a really bad case of anxiety, and he starts to say, "Oh, my nerves are messing with me, and it makes it hard for me to breathe." So he pulls out this piece of paper that he always has in his pocket, which is a basically like a biographical article of this actor that he loves. It's played by
Ronnie
Jake
Reed,
Gyllenhaal.
yeah.
Yeah. And so when he starts to get a panic attack, he looks at that paper and it helps him calm down. Right. So he has that paper with him in the train. They're hanging out in one of the carts. Train stops and they hear that there are policemen outside who are checking the trains. Right. So Frank says, okay, come over here with me in the corner and we're going to hide because they're going to open the cart and they're going to look in. So they go and hide behind a few boxes that are in that train cart. The cops come by, they open the door. They don't really do a full check. They're just like, yeah, it doesn't look like anybody's in here. And they close the door. So they think they're fine. Train starts again, starts moving. And she has one of her weird spaz attacks,
Yeah.
right? Where Mary Shelley is messing with her brain and she starts doing her Tourette's thing where she starts saying a bunch of crazy shit and starts screaming. Of course, as she's screaming and the train is moving, the cops hear that outside. One of them opens the door to the train cart and gets inside and finds them.
Yeah.
Frank does not attack this guy, Frank does what the Frankenstein monster has always done, which is kind of get down, cover himself, and say, I don't want any trouble. Don't hurt me. We'll leave. She, on the other hand, who just watched him pummel two guys and murder them in the street, is like, well, why don't we just fucking kick this guy out of the train? So that's what she does. She
No,
walked up.
it was also more a reflex because the cop is pointing a gun at him, and
Yeah.
and she thinks he wants to shoot him, so she out of reflex pushes him out. Back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I kind of took that as she's okay with violence now. You know what I mean? Yeah, he was pointing a gun at Frank. Whatever. She kicks him out of the train. He falls out of the train and hits his head on one of the I forget what these things are called. It's like the thing that you build a track with, big block of wood.
Rails. That's right.
I thought it was wood.
No, it was.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's whatever they use to build train tracks with. Yeah. He falls out, hits his head on that, and dies immediately, right? Of course, what this is doing is leaving a trail for these detectives to figure out where they are. So the next scene you get, these detectives are out there looking at this body of the cop that they kicked out of the train the night before. They realize that this cop worked for the railroad, was checking the trains, and is thrown out, which means that these two guys must be going where this train is going. We get another scene here where the female detective played by Penelope Cruz is having to talk to all these other cops. Her secretary is there with her. Of course, all of these cops think that he is the detective and she is the secretary.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get details from him, but he's not really a detective, so he's not really good about giving the detail. And she's trying to talk to them, but none of these men are taking her seriously at all. They're acting like she's not even there. One of the cops offers the secretary guy a cigarette. Do you want a cigarette? He said, sure. And she says also, I would like to have a cigarette. And he just ignores the shit out of her like she's not even there.
Yeah.
And that happens over and over and over again. And it's just a social commentary on how women are treated and gender roles and all that stuff. So they figure out that the train is going to New York, and that's probably where these two are going to end up. So they also go to New York.
Because the thing is, in New York, the cops are already like, they already figured out that he has a Ronnie Reed thing, that he's a massive fan, that he goes to see them multiple times. That's when the cops said, okay, the safest place is to get to New York, and then pretty much check out all the cinemas where Ronnie Reed movies are running.
Right.
That's
that's right. Because the piece of paper that Frank uses to calm his anxiety was found on the cop. The dead cop.
Did you see the scene where Frank and the bride are hiding out somewhere? And
like a swimming pool, an abandoned swimming pool or something.
Somehow, at some point or another, she comes up, what is her name? Then he says Ginger, and she laughs. She said, no, that was a joke. It's Penelope. She's like, okay. Then they have a short discussion, and Bride just looks at Frank like, do you want to fuck? No, maybe we should fuck. Maybe we could sleep better. And I was like, okay. Yeah. She tries to get onto him, but he pushes her away because he's uncomfortable. No?
Well, I mean, I would assume he's never had any sexual contact ever.
Probably that too.
Yeah.
No? Yeah, he's at that point he was just a little bit uncomfortable with the entire situation. You don't know, maybe it could have been his first time. It could have also been he had the feeling that, he was kind of a little bit taking advantage of her. Because he was lying to her, and I'm not. I'm sure
it's odd, right?
Huh? Well, no, it's not really odd. I mean, there are some guys that feel like this when women come on to them, because despite what society believes, there are women that come on to guys like this way, even though the guys don't want them to. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened to me when. It happened to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say what actually the issue is, but it also shows that he does not really have purely a sexual interest in her.
No.
That's also what this shows. His interest was more he wanted a companion. He wanted a companion because he was lonely.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's totally what it was. That was the whole
yeah.
point of this entire thing. He's
Mhm.
lonely. I mean, you feel bad for the character from the get-go because
Yeah.
he's lonely and has not had any contact with anyone that cares about him probably ever, except for the one guy that he meets in the original Frankenstein book who's nice to him, the blind guy. That's the only guy we ever see ever like take kindly to him. But yeah, I'm with you. This scene right here is kind of like either he feels like he's taking advantage of her because he knows that he's lying to her about her identity, or he's never had any physical contact. So this is very uncomfortable for him,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, he pushes her away and says, "No, I don't want that right now." And then immediately says, "Hey, why don't we go see another movie?" So that's what they do,
Yeah.
right? They go see a movie. Of course, you also mentioned this part. She asked what her name was, and he said Ginger at first, and then said, "No, that's not right. It's Penelope." And so there's a big montage here where they do a bunch of stuff. It's not just they go see a movie. Like you see them on the town doing things. You see them in movie theaters. Um, you see them just being a couple. He also goes to a tattoo studio and gets Penelope tattooed across his chest
Yeah.
with her, which um, it's probably not worth mentioning, but the tattoo equipment here that's being used, and there actually being like a tattoo parlor like this in 1930s New York is not a thing. But okay, whatever. And he gets Penelope tattooed across the top of his chest. Um, and then they go see. I think we get that whole montage of them doing things together, and then this is where they go to a 3D movie. That's what it is. They go to a 3D movie.
Now this is one thing. Now this is one thing that brought me up. Did 3D movies exist during this time?
Chrissy said the same thing, but Mike, I think they
Yeah.
did.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Can we look this up real quick? Because this is one of those things that I wasn't sure
No,
about either.
I mean that's one major criticism I have towards it. This movie brings up so much things that did not exist during this time. Wh-
I seem to, well, at this time, 1930s, 1930s, the movies would have been black and white. So how would you do 3D if the movies were black and white? It's impossible because even early 3D would have required the movie to have been in color.
Well, it looks like 3D movies didn't come out until 1994.
That's not true. That's not true because Jaws 3D was in 3D and then Friday the 13th Part 3 was in 3D.
Okay. We might both be wrong.
Okay.
3D technology in movies. Now, this is
Yeah.
crazy. The first 3D film footage was presented in 1903 by the Lumiere brothers.
What the fuck?
Really, apparently.
1903?
Early experiments were done in 1990. Early 3D was based on anaglyph red-green technology.
Okay.
First public screening was done by Edwin S. Porter and William E. Waddle, presented test reels in 3D at the New York Astor Theater in 1915. First
Holy
feature
shit.
film was 1922. The Power of Love was shown in Los Angeles using red and green glasses. Now this is crazy, dude.
That's
Here's a
fucking nuts.
golden age of 3D movies, 1950s. The first major boom, starting Buona Devil, 1952, and House of Wax, 1953, utilized the natural vision system. Now, we have modern era where 3D reemerged. during the 1980s and the 2000s. When it first really came out in the modern society was 2009 with Avatar.
Right. Okay.
That's when it became popular again. But actually, okay, so apparently we were wrong.
We're wrong.
Yeah.
So this very well could have happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I assumed like especially if you're talking horror, right? Because
Yeah.
horror was where this first became big. I remember the first, and of course I
No.
didn't see it in the theater. But
No, Matt, you are absolutely wrong when it first got
okay.
big. Because the first major boom was Buana Devil, House of Wax. And Buana Devil, in my
That's a
opinion,
horror movie, Mike.
is that?
Yes. House of Wax is a horror movie.
The original from
1950s.
1953?
Yep, horror movie. Yep, horror movie. But of course, if they used it on that, they probably used it again on other movies that were not horror. I can see it being used on action films and shit like that too, right? But then the only two movies that stick out in my mind from early childhood that were 3D that you could see in the theater was Friday the 13th Part 3 and Jaws 3D were the two, right? But that's fucking crazy that they had 3D movies in the 30s, dude. That blows my mind because I always thought those movies were in black and white. Like we didn't get color in film until the 50s.
Movies were black and white.
Yeah.
So apparently 3D technology was not dependent on colored movies.
That's odd. Oh shit, you learn stuff every day then. That's crazy, man. Okay. Well, it would be nice to talk to my grandparents if they were still around. I'd be like, did you guys ever go see a 3D movie when you were younger? Weird. Okay. Well, anyway, learn something new. So they're in a 3D movie theater, or 3D movie. They walk in and kind of sit in the back. There's a couple in front of them that are making out, right? And the guy gets a little bit too handsy with the girl in front of him, right? She says, no, I don't want this. He continues. She says, no, again, I don't want this. And the bride is sitting directly behind them. So she reaches in and says, hey, she like grabs his hand and says, hey, she said no. No means no. Fuck off. That guy stands up to confront her and then realizes what he's looking at, which is Frankenstein, who's all, chopped up, and she's got a really big scar across her face. He immediately thinks they're monsters. Also, it's important to note, Mike, this is a horror movie that they're watching.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie, a 3D horror movie. And so it's also got zombies in it. Did you catch that?
I caught
What
that
fucking
one, yeah.
movie is this? This would say that zombies were a thing in the 30s, man.
They weren't. They
were not.
movies.
This movie did not exist.
Who cares? Doesn't matter.
It's cool, though. It's a zombie movie that they're watching. Anyway, he looks at them and immediately thinks, oh, God, these are monsters. So he starts screaming at the top of his lungs. The monsters are in the theater. The monsters are in the theater. This gets the entire crowd in the theater freaking out. And these two escape into another room next door, which is some kind of big fancy party for rich people, right? So in one room you have a theater, in the other room you have a ballroom. They escape into this room. Everybody's dressed to the nines, like really, really nice. There's waiters walking around in white suits carrying champagne around for everybody to drink out of. These two realize really quick that they're way out of place. So Frank takes his jacket and turns it inside out, which makes his jacket white to kind of look like the other waiters. Throws that on. She does the same thing. She picks up like a one of those 1930s nets that women used to wear over their face off of somebody's dress, covers her face with it, does something else to her appearance as well to make her look like a waitress. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Grabs a tray of champagne and starts carrying it around like she's part of the wait staff. Frank does the same thing. Now at this party is the guy, the actor that Frank idolizes. And Frank realizes this the minute he sees him. And then starts acting like a complete fanboy, which gives away their entire disguise. He walks over to him and says, I'm a huge fan. I've liked you ever since your first movie. Jake Gyllenhaal's character does not seem like a terrible person. Because he doesn't like insult him or anything like that at first. He just kind of lets him talk. Of course, he thinks this guy looks really crazy, and everybody else that's standing around his character thinks that Frank looks crazy, but nobody's really mean to him. Jake Gyllenhaal's character says, just to kind of like break up the weirdness of the situation, says, "Sorry, honey, you're not my type." You know, this sets Frank off a little bit. You can tell he's getting irritated and he's saddened by the fact that this guy doesn't like him. And he says to him, and I don't know what the actual line is, but he says something like, "Do you remember this time when you were a boy, you saw me, and instead of freaking out and being scared, you smiled at me?" And Jake Gyllenhaal's character, whose name I can't remember, doesn't. I think he says, "No, I don't remember that," or "I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Right. And this sets Frank off. And this is where we get another one of those artsy scenes of dance that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but kind of makes for a spectacle in the film.
It's a spectacle, but it makes no sense within the story.
Yeah.
Like,
Because he just starts dancing. And I think he's reenacting one of the dance scenes from one of this guy's movies. When he starts doing this, other people that are in the crowd start dancing with him. And we just get this big dance number, is what this is.
yeah, it's one of those things where to me, this is even though I like the movie, it's like there are just certain things that make no sense in the context, specifically this in itself, and it's just trying to be artsy and trying to do something different, I guess. Even though I like it, and I think it's cool, I really do.
I like it. I don't have any hate for this scene at all.
Yeah, me neither. It's just I read a lot of people bringing this up that this makes no sense. And
It
that what's her name? Maggie Gyllenhaal is just forcefully trying to be artistic. And that is a valid criticism. Because the artsy things thrown into this movie make literally no sense within the with it. When it comes to writing story, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't from
Yeah.
a logical standpoint. So this is like, I would say they would the only thing I would have brought up maybe as criticism is they should have changed the writing a little bit to make this fit in. To somehow how all these people just got up and started, because it instantly turns into a musical. What
Yeah.
is a little bit, I mean, if this would have been in different scenes in the movie, of course, it's half musical. That would have made sense.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden it's like, no, it's just, yeah. Even though
I mean, there
What?
are examples of how this can work really well. Like, have you seen Little Shop of Horrors, the original?
yeah, but that was also a musical.
Right.
Yes.
So it was expected, but it can work in horror if it's done correctly. This comes out of nowhere, and this is only one of two scenes where something like this happens in the film.
Yeah.
And it does come out of nowhere. And when it happened this second time, I was like, what the fuck? What is this? Why is this happening? You didn't need it. It almost felt like they were just adding time to the movie. Although it's not badly choreographed. It's actually a pretty cool scene. But whatever. I mean, movies can be weird and not make sense and still good. And I
Yeah.
think this is one of those. It doesn't have to make sense. As they're all dancing, Frank and the bride and everybody else in this club, including the guy that he idolizes, a cop comes in because a cop was probably called to the scene in the theater next door and realized that they escaped into this area. So he comes in and immediately points a gun, right?
Yeah.
And he's pointing a gun at her. For whatever reason, and I can't remember why, she gets a gun as well, but I don't know how. Do you remember how she gets a gun?
I think she takes it from one of the cops. I
So
think.
there's more than one cop? I can't remember.
Yeah, there are multiple cops that come in at this point, man.
Okay,
Because
I can't remember.
the cops were already after them after the movie theater because a lot of people came running out. You saw like the two detectives coming out, and the one guy's like, "Yeah, I think we know where they are now."
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then they get
Okay.
chased through the streets, and then they get into that place that where
Okay.
they are now. So the cops were already after them. So the doors open up, and a lot of cops come in.
Okay. Yeah. So she gets a gun from one of the cops. This guy is about to shoot them. Like he's more like ready to shoot them than the guy on the train was. He's got the gun out. He's going to shoot her. She
Well,
shoots him out of panic. Right here. He falls flat and is dead. Uh, and then she goes into one of her Tourette's moments again,
that's
where
before
she's
she shoots them. But
is it
yeah,
she okay? So she has a Tourette's moment where she says a bunch of crazy shit that doesn't fit, uh, and then shoots him. And then of course they escape that theater as well. An interesting thing here is these guys continue to escape every situation when they probably shouldn't be able to.
yeah,
You notice that? Like they
yeah,
get away from everything. It's very Bonnie and Clyde-ish.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. The movie is. You can't say this movie is more or less. You could say Bonnie and Clyde just with the Frankenstein monsters.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, they escape out into the street and steal a car. Um, and then take off in the car and go, right? Uh, and this is where I'm hazy about what happens because a whole bunch of stuff happens here.
yeah,
They are on a road trip. They're having discussions about who she is and what she thinks she is and all this stuff. And they end up getting pulled over by a cop, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So they're on the road. They end up getting pulled over by the cops. Frank tells her, "Hey, pull over because that guy with the siren behind you is a cop and he wants you to pull over." Because she has no frame of reference. She doesn't know. Apparently,
no,
she knows how to drive a car, though. Whatever. He says, "Pull over, but be nice to the guy. Don't like, don't
yeah. I
shoot
don't.
him.
Yeah,
Don't kill him. Just be
just
nice
you.
to him." Frank is sitting in the passenger seat and covers himself up so he can't be seen. He says, tell the cop that I'm sick and I'm your uncle. So and that's the story. So she goes, okay. Cop comes out, seems like a nice guy at first. He's like, "Hey, where you going?" And they kind of give jokes back and forth to each other.
Yeah,
Like it's not a highly confrontational situation. Um and then he says, "What's up with the guy in the passenger seat?" She says, "Oh, that's my uncle. He's sick.
yeah,
So he's not gonna come out. Um, I'm trying to get him somewhere." Cop says, "Okay, let me see your license and registration." She doesn't have a license and registration that she can give him. So the cop says, "Okay, step out of the car." So she gets out of the car. He says, "Put your hands on the front of the vehicle." Right. So she puts her hands on the front of the car, and he starts getting handsy with her, of course. And
yeah.
it's creepy. It's a creepy scene. Um, she puts up with it for a little while, just to kind of like hope that they can still get out of the situation without having to
But
be violent.
yeah,
But
then
do you remember how this guy gets
Frank
killed?
shoots him through the window.
That's right.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I was sitting there. I was sitting there thinking like, God. I mean, if I don't, I wouldn't care if this guy was a cop. I would just not sit in there and watch him do this to my girlfriend. This is just like at the moment, just when you're sitting there, like, what the fuck is he doing? All of a sudden, Frank just shoots him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thankfully for that.
yeah,
I couldn't remember how he got rid of him. I was thinking that he probably like beat him up or smashed his head against something. But yeah, he
yeah,
shot him through the window of the car.
yeah,
And he didn't waste any time. You're right. It's like he started getting handsy. She puts up with it. He realizes she's uncomfortable. And then he shoots the guy through the window and he's dead. The cop behind them that's in the
yeah.
car that was waiting gets out. And I think he shoots Frank, right?
Yeah, he shoots
No, he
Frank,
shoots
but
her in the shoulder.
yeah, he shoots her in the shoulder. But I think Frank turns around and shoots him as well.
Yep.
And then the bride gets on the cop that was shot and starts ripping out his tongue. Yeah.
Also a very brutal scene.
Yeah,
I can't remember why. That's right, because the mob boss that we know about, right? He kills women and collects their tongues.
yeah.
I can't remember when that's shown to us, but if there's a woman who he finds out is an informant, that's what it was. There
Yeah.
are if a woman turns out to be an informant against this mob group, he kills them, cuts out their tongue, and keeps their tongues as trophies. Uh, there is a scene here too before this scene that I think we may have missed, where two of the guys who work for the mob boss, including this one guy who's out to get them later, are sitting at a table in a restaurant.
I think it happens before, short after, or at the same time. I'm not sure. I think shortly after this
Okay.
scene, because they have like the two guys coming to the mob boss and they're talking,
Yeah.
and the mob boss gives him a picture of the bride and says this woman has to be taken out. The other guy, oh no, we already took care of her because they remembered that they killed
They
her.
already killed her. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And he's like, well, it doesn't look to me like they're being taken care of and whatsoever. And I said, yeah, it's taken care of. It's taken care of. No, the boss pulls out a gun
The
and
mob boss.
and points it out. The other guy, oh yeah, he's joking, and the boss just blows his head. Well, just shoots him in the head. The other guy's totally shocked,
Yeah.
and he's okay, I'll get it done. So then the guy
Mhm.
comes up, and then the other guy that did not get shot, the the mafia boss just lays
His name's Clyde, by the way. Yeah.
maybe I'm not
Clyde.
sure. However, he
Yeah.
lays the gun back on the table and says, "Oh, how's your wife doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy scene, but
Yeah.
it's there to let you know that the mob boss is wise to the fact that she's possibly still alive and she's a danger. He's marked her as an informant and he wants her taken out. So the other guy who is left over, who's Clyde, is supposed to go find her and kill her because they didn't get the job done the first time, even though they did, but she was reanimated. Um, anyway, that scene is there specifically to let us know that he collects tongues. And she remembers this now in this scene where this cop attacks her and he goes on the ground, right?
Yep.
And so for whatever reason, she wants to bite out his tongue. So that's what she
Yeah.
does. We get this gross scene where she like bites his tongue out, which feels really out of place, but okay. Whatever. There's a part that we missed that kind of leads up to this whole cultural movement.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
The
So,
feminist empowerment scene,
yes.
huh?
Yes. So what happens, and this is kind of worth talking about because it's an element of the story that makes sense if you understand the fact that Mary Shelley is basically possessing this woman
Yeah.
and causes her to have these Tourette's moments every once in a while, right?
Yeah, but
Every time that she has the Tourette's moment, she mentions the mob boss, right? Always. That's what the Tourette's moments are about. She starts spewing about this mob boss's name and what he does to women
Yeah.
and all of this stuff, right? So when she does that, she gets attention. And this last time that they were in the theater during the dance number, when she pulled out the gun before she shot the cop, she has that Tourette's moment and starts spewing off again about this mob boss and what he does to
It
women.
says brain attack, huh? Yeah.
Brain attack, right? And somebody in that theater when she was doing that snapped a picture of her, right? And it became front page news after they escaped, right? And so that newspaper clipping is what those two guys brought to the mob boss and said, "Hey," or no, he found it and he was like, "Hey, this chick's still alive and she won't quit talking about me. So you have to go kill her." That newspaper article also animated women around the United States to start mimicking her and doing their makeup the same way as her, and kind of became a feminist movement against violence against women, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the next scene you get after they've escaped these two cops that they kill, is you see women around the country start to do their makeup the same way she does it in the photo, and start a movement to kind of attack society back, uh, to stop violence against women, which is a little bit crazy because these women are doing violent things, dude. Like it's,
Yeah, it's
uh, yeah. So that's the thing. Like this movie has instance after instance after instance about violence against women, the things that are bad that happen to women, how women are viewed as less than men, how women can't be taken seriously even in professional jobs. It is a very feminist film, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah.
but it's done, and we talked about this before we started filming. This is also tastefully done and well done to where it gets the message across without dissing on men. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I feel like we should be and are part of the discussion because there are a lot of us who don't agree with it either, right? And the only problem with that is that these women that are now mimicking her are perpetrating violent acts against men, just in general in this film.
Yeah,
And I
that's
don't
yeah.
understand that. Like, you didn't have to do that. But maybe
Yeah.
it's done to show the radicalization of a good idea as well.
Well, that could be. That could be because actually in the bride's moment there was no empowerment thought behind it that was understood then.
Yeah.
And hard to explain. And then the other women going brain attack, brain attack. Not all of them were being like super violent, but there were a lot of them.
Hmm.
And this is it's just like I would say with a lot of things nowadays, what kind of aggravates me about several different groups is the way they just at the end of the day choose to fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
And how should I say it? Of course, these are probably just loud minorities on the internet and the radical sides of these issues. Because you have to make a distinction between feminism and radical feminism
Yeah.
because there are distinctions. And what a lot
Of
of
course.
people see as misandry or feminism dissing on men is usually the radical side. Now, these
Yeah.
radical feminists, and that
Right.
I would not even necessarily say is the majority of feminism, but it is definitely the loudest and what a lot of people perceive.
Yeah.
And what often the right wing conservative use to argue against feminism. But on the other side, when it comes to conservative and right wing opinions, you also only hear the loudest ones. And
Yeah.
these extremes are used by the other side to make an argument against all conservatives and stuff and shit like that. You know, so
Yeah.
it's really a difficult situation, man.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, I think social commentary, especially in movies, which horror is fantastic for that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you can go back to a bunch of different if I tried to name them all, we'd be here all day. But
yeah,
a lot of horror is social commentary on something that's going on. And I think what this movie does well is it kind of shows one side of it, the sympathetic side of it, which is the bride's side, to where you see her being mistreated over and over and
yes,
over
yeah,
again, specifically by men. And these are instances that, and if you don't believe me, sit down and have a conversation with your mom. Sit down and have a conversation with your sister. They will tell you that this kind of thing has happened to them multiple times, and it's a common thing that most men just don't fucking see. And it doesn't mean we don't have the ability to understand it. We do. And just because we're men doesn't mean we can't understand it. We certainly can, but we need to be shown that. And we need to be made to understand why this is an issue for women, right? And once you understand it, you can see it for yourself and sympathize with it. And so what we get here in this movie is her side where she continues to be mistreated and sexualized and assaulted. And then you see the other side, which is the radical side, where women are like, yeah, she shot that cop in the theater in the name of, feminism. And now we're going to take it to the street and be violent. That's the radical side. So
Yeah.
you kind of see both sides of it. I just feel like it could have been done better because it
Well,
almost feels like this movie is for that a little bit. And
it
maybe
is.
I'm misreading it.
I mean, I was not really that much bothered by that part. Not really at all. It just that is clearly what this movie was for. This movie was meant as a feminist movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it was meant to be. But and how should I say it? This scene specifically never really bothered me at all.
Yeah, no, it
You
doesn't
know,
bother me either. I just think that there needed to be a clear distinction between what's radical and you know doesn't help
yeah,
and what the actual situation is and what the commentary is and what side of that is
yeah,
good and
yeah,
what side of that is bad, right? Um there's no denying in a world where people use their brains, Mike, which unfortunately is not our world. But if you sit down and think about it, there is no place for radical anything anywhere.
yes,
Radical stuff leads nowhere. Whether it's right or left, if it's radical, it's just bad. Period.
yeah, true. Yeah,
Um, and so I wish that this film, at least at this point, would have made a little bit more of a distinction between you know, radical being bad and then the normal social commentary of, hey, we need you to understand this. And yes, I do understand. How do we work to make this a better world? There should have been more of that, but it just kind of shows the radical female side of
yeah,
it. And I was like, "Ah, I would have liked a little bit more of a social commentary here." Anyway, that belabors the point. We see that there is a feminist movement going on that perpetrates violence against uh, men, right? um, at the same time, these two are kind of coming to grips about who she is and what her real identity is. She says to Frank at one point, you know, is any of this even real? Was I really your bride? I'm not sure what tips her off because I can't remember. But that's right. I got it. He asks her to marry him because they go to Niagara Falls and she says, "How did we get married?" Right? And so now he has to make up this crazy big story about how he proposed to her and how he got her a ring and stuff. And
yeah,
he tells her the story, and then she's like, "Well, what happened to the ring that you got me?" Uh, and I can't remember what his answer was, but it wasn't a good answer. And that's where she's like, "Wait a minute, did any of this really happen? You know, is my
yeah,
name really Penelope? Are we really married? Is all
yeah,
this stuff that you're telling me who I am really real?" And this is where he's honest with her. Like he
yeah.
obviously feels some kind of way about having to lie to her all this time.
And he comes clean.
And yeah, he comes clean with her. He's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, we were never married. We'd never met before you were brought back to life. Um, I don't really know your name." It just basically has to tell her that everything that she's been told about who she is a lie. And this is where she's like, "Okay, I am done with you. Let me know where I can drop you off. You know, like
yeah,
get out of my car." And so she stops the car and is about to let him out, and then she realizes that he's been shot. He didn't say anything to her about it,
yeah,
but he's been shot, he's been bleeding out, he's not doing well. Um, and he says something like, "Does it matter that we didn't know each other before, that we weren't married, that all this stuff happened? Do you care about me?" And the answer from her is, "Yeah, yeah, I do. It doesn't matter if you lied to me this whole time." She basically forgives him,
yeah.
and then they kind of move on from that, right? Uh, and this is where you get the scene at the drive-in, right? Where they go to the drive-in movie. And I'm not sure where this is.
Well,
What state
this
this is.
ends with her coming up like what her name actually is, what she wants to be called, or all of this.
Yeah,
She goes on a monologue, and Frankenstein likes all like pretty much what
yeah,
she's saying. I think this is also where I'm not sure if he proposes to her at this moment, but then she's like, No, they give you. Well, why can't we just give you a new name that you want?
Yeah.
And she's like, the bride. And Frank's like, the bride of Frankenstein. No, just the bride. And he's like,
Yeah.
yes, I love it. Okay, so then Frank gets shot in the head. This
Yeah. So
instantly.
they're at a movie theater.
Yeah.
That's an outdoor, kind of like one of those drive-in theaters that was famous back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's the
Yeah.
ones our parents and grandparents went to. Um, and while they're there, they get ambushed by the cops. Right? No, they get ambushed by
The
the mob
mafia guy.
guy. Yeah,
The
the
mob
mafia
guy.
guy.
I mean, well, this is also like, oh wow, what a great shot. No, however, Frank gets shot, and then I think sure there's a shooting scene that goes on. Uh,
Well, the
uh,
cops are there. The
yeah,
cops are there. The mafia guy is there. This is basically an ambush because
yeah,
everybody knows where they are, right?
yeah.
So the cops are there. The two detectives are also there. And this is where the secretary, which he's not a detective, but the secretary realizes who this girl is, right?
That happened before that, or maybe,
It happened before that. I thought it was here.
yeah, it could be here too as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he gets a no. It's before that because God, man, we're all over the place with this film. When they escaped the theater, he realized who she was,
Yeah.
and that's when he told the story to his partner, who's actually the detective. He says her name is actually Ida, and she worked for us. She was an escort for the mob until she realized what was happening to the girls that spoke out against the mob boss. And then we turned her into an informant. So at the time when she was killed at the beginning of the movie, she was an informant. She was somebody who was hanging out with the mob and then letting the cops know what the mob was doing so that they could take these guys down. And she got killed as she was being an informant. He does not know why she's alive again.
But
So
he
this
does.
is all real strange,
But it also
right?
hints towards. But there's also hints towards that this cop had at least an affair, with her, because
Yeah.
the
He
way
said
he.
that.
Yeah, he said that as well because he says, Ida, I'm sorry, and blah blah blah. No. And then when his partner was talking with him, she's like, did you love her? Something he asked like that.
Yeah.
He never really gave a clear answer, but you could see that he was in love with her. And
Yeah.
apparently they were a little bit in a relationship or something was going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
when she was still alive.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they're getting away from the theater, and this is the scene that we missed, he confronts her and Frankenstein on the street. He points a gun to her and he says, Ida, what are you doing? Come back. And she's trying to figure out who the fuck he is in her head, in her memories. She can't think of anything. And then shoots him in the foot and they run off. So he's been shot in the foot. So he now has to heal up and take time away. And he tells his partner, who is the female, who's the actual detective, you can go after her. She needs to be stopped, obviously. But please don't kill her. Whatever you do, do not kill her because for me. And of course, his partner, Penelope Cruz's character, agrees. Okay. And then this is where you get the ambush scene at the theater. So the cops are there, the detective is there, and the mob guy, Clyde, is there, right? Clyde is the guy that shoots Frankenstein in the head.
Yeah.
Oh, he shoots Frank in the head, and this is at the drive-through. Frank is dead, right? This was enough to kill him, and I would assume that that probably would be enough to kill Frankenstein. So that works for me.
Yeah.
Uh, because they're in the original novel, this was not the time of there were guns, but probably not as high powered as the ones that they have here in the 30s. So the fact that he got shot in the head and is now dead, I can believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she doesn't get shot. She immediately starts the car and takes off and drives Frank's body back to the doctor that reanimated her. The bride brings Frank's corpse back to Dr. Ephroneus. She begs the scientist to revive him, right?
Yeah.
Um, the doctor warns, hey, look, this may not be possible, right? His tissue is already too damaged right
Yeah.
now. I don't know if it's going to work. Even so, he's probably not going to remember anything, right? But The bride says, I don't care. You got to do it. The doctor says, but why do you want this? Do you love him? And she says, yes, I love him and I can't live without him. So bring him back. Right. Um, they lay Frank's body on the table and they're about to start the process. But then all the fucking cops show up and bust in when she's about to start the process and basically shoot the bride to pieces, man. This is like,
Yeah.
this is one of those, this is straight out of Bonnie and Clyde because this is exactly what the cops do in Bonnie and Clyde. It's a hail of bullets. She goes out, probably shot hundreds of
Yeah.
times because there's cops all around this room and they're all firing at her.
Yeah.
Um, So now she's dead and she dies on top of the body of Frank. The female detective walks in and says, hey, this is a crime scene, so I need everybody to start taping off the area and treating this like a crime scene. Of course, these cops are like, who the fuck is this woman?
Yeah.
They're like, who the fuck is this? Who the hell do you think you are? This is not a crime scene. These two were mass murderers. Fuck it. And she's like, well, I'm a detective. And she pulls out the badge of her partner that is no longer with her and uses his badge to say, I'm a detective. I outrank all of you guys. Get out of this room. This is now a crime scene. Cops leave the area and the female detective looks at the doctor and says, hey, I'm going to go downstairs and get some things done and I'll be back. Take all the time you need. So she's basically telling her, reanimate these two.
Yeah.
Because she's been watching the scene long enough to know that these are not bad people and that they deserve to be happy too. So she's like, I'm gonna turn a blind eye to this and act like I don't know what's going on. But you go ahead and reanimate them. She goes downstairs and you see from the ground level to the top floor where the doctor's office is that there's electricity starting again. So you already know that she's started the process to bring both of them back to life.
Yeah.
And the film ends with both of their hands on the table, and you see that they've been reanimated. And the first thing that the hands do is grab each other's hand.
Yeah.
So, and that's the end of the movie, right? Is there anything that I missed there? Because it all happens
No.
kind of in a whirlwind.
No, I can't. No, not really. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're reanimated. We don't really know if they've got their memories back or if they still know who they are. That's kind of left.
Yeah,
up
but then
to-
grabbing each other's hands kind of hints towards it.
yeah,
Yeah. And the thing is, these are not normal people anymore. They're already Frankenstein monsters. So you can say maybe
Yeah.
it could be that their memory stayed intact. So
Yeah.
you could argue about this, I think, for hours.
Yeah, but we don't know. And it's also a very, very, very far cry from what the Bride of Frankenstein actually was, right?
Yeah.
And some of the commentary I read on this from from Maggie Gyllenhaal is that she did not like the original Frankenstein's Bride story because when Frankenstein's Bride was brought to life, and you'll remember this too, even in the movie, she didn't have one line of dialogue, not one. She was brought back. She had no autonomy, no real story, and then was killed again, pretty much without unceremoniously, without a line, without a story, without anything. And so what she wanted to do was do this and actually give the bride a personality,
Yeah.
and let her kind of have her own journey, right? Along with that, of course, the underlying theme of this entire thing, and it's important because it's the reason the movie was made, right?
Yeah.
Um, is that women are born into the world, and they don't really have their own story. They don't really have their own identity. The idea is that everything is forced on women from society. Hey, you are this. You are supposed to do this.
Yeah.
That is your role, and everything's forced on you. So this character had that happen to her. She was born into reality. She was told who she is. She was told her name. She was told what her role is, which was the bride of Frankenstein. And slowly throughout the movie, she starts to create her own story and starts to create her own identity, even though she's being told the whole time who she is and being uh, assaulted by men the entire time. And so by the end of the movie, she's gained her identity back. She knows who she is. She's created her own name. And that's basically what this was about, right?
Yeah.
It was a very feminist film, but also done pretty tastefully. I think the commentary is there and it's pretty
Yeah.
clear.
Hmm.
And I didn't hate it. I would recommend anybody go see this. It's
Yeah,
not
me
going to
too.
be
I
everybody's cup of tea.
What?
It's not going to be everybody's movie for sure.
No, not really. I already looked into the ratings. This is a movie. Well, it's kind of the most people either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got into it. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Is it doing well though? I mean, how many days has it been out?
been out since the 5th for 3 days.
Okay.
So this is still the opening weekend.
Okay. Is it doing well?
I don't. The only thing I can go by is ratings, and if you go by Rotten Tomato, it has a 59% critic score
That's not bad.
and 73 user score.
That's
No,
great.
so it's not really that bad, I would say. Then you have other things. IDM gave it a 6.1 out of 10.
Okay.
Letterbox, whatever page that is, gave it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
And yeah, well, I guess it's just how you see it. It's still like it's a movie. I don't know. It seems like it's not, just like you say, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Now, I think there are going to be a lot of people that are going to like it and a lot of people that are going to hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, the typical right-wing conservative YouTube grifters are already complaining about it.
Of course.
Yeah. Obviously why.
Yeah.
One of them, the thing is, I want some of their videos are amusing.
Yeah,
And
I like to see it all. I want to
Yeah.
see it all. Even if
Yeah.
it's a bad opinion, I want to see what you have to say. you know?
Yeah, just like Disparu, for example.
Uh,
I like some of his videos, but often just I watched his review or what he was talking about this movie, and
Yeah.
I was sitting back watching it and came to my thought, dude, did this guy even see the movie?
yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day, a lot of these YouTubers, I didn't even see them as political channels. And when it came to a lot of things they said about movies, video games, or series, I agreed with them on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Or at least from when it came towards the taste. But one thing I started to notice was like 3 or 4 years ago with the Masters of the Universe Revelation series done by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
You know, the sequel He-Man series.
Yeah.
They were all complaining about this and complaining about stuff in it and blah, blah, blah. I also watched the show at that time and I just thought to myself, did you guys even watch the show? Because
Yeah.
the things they brought up basically during the Masters of the Universe Revelation thing was, it totally destroys the He-Man lore, and He-Man is totally wiped out of the story, and it only focuses on Tila and blah blah blah. Where I'm like, well, maybe, but it's not like they totally erased them from existence. I just saw this show and I was like, they did not really change much to the lore and the story. They just continued.
Yeah.
You know, He-Man and Skeletor both get killed. Magic is wiped out of Eternia. Skeletor's people and He-Man's people have to work together to bring magic back to save the world. That's basically the first season. I don't see anything wrong with it, you know? And then they were just constantly complaining about, and this is what it goes off pretty much every time any movie or video game has a character that is not a straight white guy, they complain about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, or
No,
they're going to call it woke. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, God,
Well,
No,
human
I mean
beings need a label, man.
yeah,
You know?
everything needs. They call it the new Superman film. Oh, this is woke trash.
This shit
Well, but
wasn't woke at all, man.
why? And these people done a campaign against the new Superman movie for it being woke, diverse shit or whatever, just because the director James Gunn is openly a less progressive guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. The Supergirl trailer came out, they instantly started shitting on it.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's like,
I
these
know.
are just, I mean, there are a lot of people out there on both sides that just want to complain about these things.
Of course,
You know,
because
and
that's what gets ratings, dude. I mean, it's not even real. That's where I am. Like negativity sells, dude. If you
unfortunately,
come on, if you want to do a review of a movie and you genuinely like the film and you want to say this movie was great because of this, 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 and this, it's awesome. That is not going to get many clicks. It's also not going to get many people to read it or watch it. But if you are
yes,
negative as shit and call something one of the hot button words like woke or far left or hey, even if it's a left side, far right, if you're radical about it, holy shit, dude, you got clicks and you got people knowing who you are and you got people wanting to watch it. It's whoever's
unfortunately.
loud. Yeah.
Huh?
It's whoever's the most loud gets the most attention, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, dude, there's nothing in this movie to like rage about.
No, not
There's
really.
not.
Nothing. I mean, it's great. I loved it. It's a great movie.
That's a great movie.
From beginning to end. Done right around the same time. And this is, I think today is International Women's Day, or maybe
Yeah, it is.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
or in a few days. I'm not sure when it's out, but I mean, probably why this movie came out at this time.
I would assume so. At the same time, I would say yes. It's not a horror movie, but don't go see it with your kids. This is not a kids movie, dude.
No, definitely not a
It's
kid's.
not a kids movie. It's definitely R-rated for a reason. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of handsiness.
Yeah.
It is a touchy subject, but I don't think there's anything to hate here. And
No.
I'm not one who likes to get preached at, just like you aren't, right? I don't want to go see a movie that's a social commentary and feel like I'm getting preached at the entire time. And I
That's what
don't
a
want to
lot of
feel
things
like
do wrong. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't want to feel like I'm being talked down to, which unfortunately a lot of feminist films, that's what they do. They just talk down to men the whole time and make you feel like shit. And this doesn't do that. This is a
Yeah.
very tasteful rendition of feminism social commentary that I thought was great.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hate here. So I'm interested to see what the haters have to say. It's probably going to be blown way out of fucking proportion as it usually.
Oh yeah. I saw a few things, and it's like it's totally out of proportion. It's just
Yeah.
like one of them, the one I mentioned, was like at the end, the bride is like, "Oh, you never had the right to bring me back," and said this to the doctor and the Frankenstein monster. And I was like, I mean, we watched it yesterday. That never happens.
No, it
movie.
didn't happen. No, it's bullshit.
No, that's bullshit. It doesn't happen. Now, then there's the other thing they bring up, of course, that the people it portrays that made this movie are evil, and the ideology behind it is evil, and it is showing evil people doing evil things, more or less. That's a strong oversimplification. And I was sitting there watching this guy's video, like, huh?
Did you even see the movie?
Yes, that throughout the entire video, I was sitting there like, have you even seen this movie? I was thinking to myself, and it's just like the typical, also neurotic, heels versus babyface, the critical drinker, all of those guys,
Yeah.
I was also thinking, hey, have you guys even? I only seen the video from one of these types so far.
Yeah.
And my thought was, God, have you guys seen this movie, or at least the one I saw? And I guarantee you, all of these others are probably going to bring out a rant or a review about this movie as well. I'm going to watch it just for shits and giggles. And I just
I
wonder
mean, I
if I
love
would.
hearing what people have to say. It's just that 90% of it is trash.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
just nerd rage on the internet just to have something
Yeah,
to hate. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Uh, I say that it was a great movie.
Yes, me.
It got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I mean, it wasn't like 45 minutes of slowness,
No,
you know?
I mean,
It's just
I,
a
I,
slow start, but the
I'm
movie
gonna,
itself was
I'm gonna,
fucking
I'm gonna be honest. I would have absolutely happy with it starting directly in the bar scene, and
yeah,
the entire monologue with what's supposed to be Mary Shelley was cut out of it entirely.
yeah.
Totally fine with that because when that scene was happening, my intrusive thoughts took hold, and the entire time I wanted to just scream, "Boring!" And I mean, and we were
Yeah.
sitting in we were sitting in the theater at the time, and I was like, in those specific 4 times, I was like, I hope this doesn't stay this way.
Well,
No,
dude, that's how it starts though, man, because it is an artsy film, and if you see that opening scene, you automatically think, fuck, this is gonna turn out to be one of those films. But then it doesn't.
yeah, yeah,
Thank God. But here's the thing. I feel like if you removed every reference of Mary Shelley from this, including all of those scenes,
yeah,
the movie would make perfect sense without it.
yeah. It would, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
It doesn't need to be there.
yeah,
It's only there because of the social commentary aspect of it, right?
yeah,
Because Mary Shelley grew up in a time where women had no autonomy and their voices were suppressed. And the fact that she wrote the book Frankenstein caused a whole bunch of shit
yes,
because people read it. And then later, when they realized it was written by a female, it caused outrage because it gave women a voice. And that's why they put her in this. But if you removed her from this, like I said, it would make perfect sense without that.
yeah,
So, whatever. Um, Great fucking movie. I would watch it again because I
yeah,
feel like after seeing it, there's probably things that you'll realize if you go back and watch it that you didn't catch the first time.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, dude, good movie. I say go watch it. Not a horror movie, but great movie.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely not a horror movie.
but yeah. So, you got anything else you want to say about this film?
No, nothing so far. Just
Okay.
it was a great movie. I loved it, and yeah, I recommend everybody to go see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, go see it. Yeah, and happy International Women's Day to
yeah.
everybody out there. Um, what's our next movie, Mike?
Yeah. The Terminator.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, so stick around for that shit because this is one that we've been wanting to do for a while. This is
yeah. And
this is gonna set up a certain amount of nerd rage too, because there's so many people out there that are like, that is not a fucking horror movie. It is absolutely a fucking horror movie.
yeah.
It's just as much a horror movie as Alien is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and we've been waiting to do this. This is one of Mike's absolute favorite movies too. So I'm just gonna let him like barrel through this one,
Yeah. I mean,
and I'll make
Terminator,
comments here and there. But that is Mike's movie.
yeah, Terminator 1, Terminator 2. It's going to be a lot of nerd, and I'm probably going to derail into the entire lore multiple times.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
what this is for. If you're watching this hoping for just a play-by-play of something without commentary, then you're watching the wrong podcast. I'm looking forward to it, dude. I love Terminator.
Me too. Yeah. The first
Yeah.
two. All others sucked.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One
Yeah.
and two. We need a decent part 3, but we can discuss that when we do it
Yeah.
because Terminator 3 is fucking terrible. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Give us a like. Leave us some comments too because we like comments.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time. But until then, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
We'll see you guys then.
Bye.
The blackest eyes. The darkest eyes. Simply